I'm Jay Morrison, also known as Mr. Real Estate, and this video is going to be on how to evaluate a real estate deal. So you're a future investor, or you're looking to get in a real estate game, you want to flip houses, you want to make money, or you have no money in cash, but you want to use private money. You want to find somebody with money and bring them a deal, but you don't know how to evaluate a deal. So I'm going to show you. Here's how you evaluate a real estate deal. Very simple. You start with what we call your acquisition or your purchase price, right? We'll put PP, right? Your purchase price or your acquisition cost. That's what you buy the property for, right? So maybe they're asking 50, maybe they're asking 60 grand for the property. You negotiate and you can get the property for 50 grand, right? So you finalize with the seller that for $50,000, you can purchase this property. You can acquire this property, or acquisition or purchase price. So now for $50,000. So now the property needs work though. This is gonna be a real estate flip. And not every flip needs work, but let's just assume on this one that it does, right? So you're gonna go out with a contractor. You're gonna call a few in your area. Maybe you go out with one and then you have two more come back to get competitive pricing, right? So you use like 3 contractors. You go out with a contractor and you get estimates on the repair cost. So now we go here. Repair cost. And say your contractors on average come back and say this house needs $30,000 worth of work, right? So boom, you know how much you gotta put in, 30 grand. And your money guys will finance the acquisition and the rehab repair cost, if it makes sense, right? So you can say, well, Jay, what else, are the other fees? Now, depending on how you're getting this money, there may be application fees. If you're getting a hard money loan, there may be points you have to pay to a bank or to a private lender, which are percentages of the purchase price you have to pay as a fee for getting the loan, right? So you may have points. You also have an appraisal. Every property you get, unless you're buying it cash, will have to have an appraisal. And if you're buying it cash, you should want an appraisal, right? But if you're loaning money, if you're getting money from someone else, they're gonna wanna see an appraisal. An appraisal shows how much the property is worth. It uses comparable homes in the area and how much they actually sold for. And that's how you find out how much your house is worth, based on what other properties in your area actually sold for. Not what they're listed for, what they sold for. So you have your appraisal. You also will likely want to get an inspection, which sometimes can double by what your contractors do, but typically we'll pay about $500 for an inspection. Appraisal may be anywhere from $350 to $750, depending on how big the property is. Application fees can also range, and points can also range. But for the purpose of this, let's just say our fees come to, let's say $2,000, all right? And well, if we add our points in, fees might be a little higher. So your points could be, say 3 points, which would be 3% of 50,000 would be 1,500, application fee 500, appraisal inspection. So we're gonna make this 3,000 actually, all right? So prop my board up. So your fees are 3,000. These are other costs you have. You say, all right, I'm ready to roll. But there's a little more expenses involved. You also are gonna have what we call carrying cost or deal cost, right? I put carry, but it's carrying cost, right? Those carrying costs are what you pay monthly while this deal is going on. You're gonna buy this house and then repair it, and then you have to sell it. That may take a few months. So during those few months, there's gonna be cost. You're gonna have your utility bills, you're gonna have your mortgage, and then paying back this loan, right? So say this deal right here, we're gonna estimate that it takes 6 months to be safe, right? Probably only take 3 months if you're dealing with me, but let's say it takes 6 months. So at 6 months, say your mortgage and other fees are $1,000 a month, right? For this loan and your other fees, just for even number purposes. So that $1,000 a month times 6 is 6 grand, right? So now you're in it for 6 grand for your carrying cost. Then you also, let me just fix this so that no one gets confused. I'm just gonna put carrying. Cool. So you got your carrying cost. Now you may sell this privately with no realtor and then real estate agent, or then there'll be no fees, but you may just say you want to use a professional and you don't want the headache. So you bring in a real estate agent. A lot of times you're typically going to be in that 6% range, 5 or 6% for listing a property. So 6% of 50,000 is 3,000. So When you sell, you'll pay your selling realtor this commission, and it also go to the buyer's realtor. So if a buyer came with a realtor, that $3,000 covers both realtors, a buyer realtor and a seller's realtor. So now let's add it up. So these right here are fees in the deal. This is how you evaluate a real estate deal. You gotta find your acquisition cost or your purchase price. You gotta find out your repair costs. You gotta include all your points and other miscellaneous fees. This is important. Most people forget about the carrying cost. You gotta carry, and it's also in our fees, we wanna say insurance, right? You gotta get insurance on the house. You buy it cash, this happened to me. I actually bought a house cash, $50,000, went to Vegas, forgot to get insurance on it, and I swear the house caught on fire. I had to pay another $12,000 to fix repairs with fire because I didn't have any insurance. So you wanna get insurance. So now let's add this up. $50,000 and we got 80, 89, what's this, 92. So our fees here are $92,000 total for the deal, right? That's how you evaluate a real estate deal. This is what you're all in for. You're all in for this deal, an estimated $92,000. Now, with your appraisal, which you'll do before you spend any of this money, you're gonna get an appraisal and find out how much is it really gonna sell for. Because there's no point in doing all of this if there's no profit there, there's no equity there. So we did an appraisal, and that appraisal came back, we're gonna say, at 190, right? That's too low. We'll put it up a little bit, make sure everybody can see. So our appraisal came back at $190,000. So we know that there's $98,000, right? When you take the 190 of what the property's worth and what it will sell for, make sure you can see it, right? Worth or sell for, $190,000. You then subtract that 190 minus your 92, which are your expenses, right? Your all-in expenses, right? So these are your all-in expenses, $92,000. Real estate agent carrying costs, fees, repair costs, and acquisition cost. And for 92, property is worth 190. We then know we got $98,000 profit. Oops, scratched our profit a little bit. Can't mess the money up. Right, so we're in for $98,000 profit. And this is how you evaluate every real estate deal, every flip, every home acquisition as an investor. And this is the formula you also use to show someone that has money, that you're serious, that you know your stuff, and that the deal makes sense. Someone will fund, if I can show someone that I can make $98,000 with everything already thought about through my deal, and I can make $98,000, then someone will be likely to partner with me or maybe give me some money or loan me money for the deal because it makes so much sense. And this is something we can do in 6 months. Who doesn't want to make $98,000 in 6 months or even half of it, right? So again, I'm Jay Morrison, also known as Mr. Real Estate, and this is how you evaluate a real estate deal. Hope it helped. Peace.